Hello, welcome to another video whereby in this video we'll start to cover functions, whereby we'll cover several functions as we can see listed here. We'll cover all these functions, yes, but let's start with function and start explaining what it is. First, we usually say a function is a canned formula that comes with Excel. We have already seen a concept on formulas. Now, what is a function? Let's start with an explanation of sum, and then we will be clear on what we mean or what do we need a function for in Excel, because in most cases we'll be dealing with function and not formula. For examples, we are trying to add several numbers. Let's assume they're up to 10. And we want to add all these numbers, and the answer of all these numbers be located in A11. So usually if we will be required to use the formula, we'll be starting from A1, and then you'll have to press Ctrl Shift to find the plus sign, and then choose the one which will be available in A2, again in A3, again, again, A7, A8, A9, A10. So if we add 10 twos together, it will sum up to 20. Yes, these are 10 twos. It will sum up to 20. But you can see the formula is very long. It's not preferable. It's even difficult to start writing these numbers. For example, you have 2,000 rows, 500 rows. It will be a very difficult job just to formulate the formula, just to add all these values which will be specified. That's where the function concept comes. When we want to add a list of number, a range of number, as far as Excel is concerned, since it's a range, it's I copied this value to column B, you can see it's from B1 to B10. That way, we can use function to manipulate to get the same answer as in A11, but using a function. The first step will be required to write the equal sign, same as when we were formulating a formula, we were required to write an equal sign. And then we'll find a function called sum. So I'll write the function sum. If this option here comes, you'll see it say add all the number in a range of cells. So this function, it will be adding numbers in a range of cells. So how to apply it? That means I'll have to put a bracket, an open bracket, and I'll have to specify the range of numbers that I want to add together. So I'll choose B2 in the front. I'll choose B1, which is the first two, which is variable there. To separate between the range, to create the range, I'll put full colon. Now I've put full colon. It's also selected that my last range is also B1. So usually here, to simplify things, after I put the opening bracket, I can highlight all the cells that I want to add, and automatically Excel will give me the first cell that I want to add and the last range that I want to add, and it will put a separator which is full colon in our case. So always remember, a separator between a range of value is full colon. Now I can press enter directly, or I can put a closing bracket, and then when I press enter, that function will give me the results of the range of range from B1 to B10. The sum of that range is 20, and whenever any value in between here change, also the formula will recalculate that, the function will recalculate the value depending on if any value in that range has changed. Now let's see if there is a string in between. If there are string in between, usually Excel using a function, it will ignore any string or any misunderstood for anything. It will be ignored in the formula. So that way, if you're having your data there in rows, but in between you have heading for subtables. Remember, Excel will ignore characters or any words or any sentence which will be in between cells. But it's not recommended to use this way. It's better to have adding numbers where always the range always contain numbers. So that's the first function, and it's a demo function, but there are several functions we can cover. Now that one, the first one was on adding. So that's why we learned the introduction to function, but we also learned that function can be added using a range, but can be added using comma. For example, we want to find a product. Let's see if we want to find the product of all these numbers in, say, let's say B1 to B10. We'll come again to the formula where we wrote sum. I'll delete it. I'll use the backspace, but this time I'll use the start. I'll use the equal sign, which is a predecessor. It's a predecessor sign when we are writing a formula. I'll go and check the formula that I want. It's written product to autofill that function so that it's written itself. I only written PRO. I want to finish the DUCT automatically. I'll just highlight it and then press tab, whereby it will finish writing the complete formula and adding the open bracket for me. Now I want to multiply numbers. Can we add a range? We can add a range, yes. When I press enter here, it will give me the product of all the number within that range. But also remember, we want to multiply two numbers. You could specify using a comma. I want to multiply, let's say B1 and B10. I'll have to specify only those two numbers, and it will give me the answer. So the separators in our Excel functions, there is a one which we are using full colon, there is a one which is using comma, whereby that's usually use only two arguments supplied to the function. Now we'll see. So that is a product. You just have to know the product, what it brings. So let's see the function, how we can read what a function do, or where we can find functions whereby when we don't remember what function name it is. We just want to know if we want to use a function. Excel has a feature whereby it gives you a description. What does that function does? What does that function do? Plus it gives you how should you pass the argument into your function. Now let's start. I'll delete that formula of the function product and start writing product again. When I highlight that product before I do anything, there are words which reads a description which multiplies all the numbers given as arguments. So with this function, which is product, you can add you can multiply all the number given as argument. Now we press tab, whereby it changes. That description changes. It shows the product, and then it shows number 1, comma number 2, and so forth. That means when you see this symbol here, this description here, that means we can supply our argument as a range of arguments, or we can supply it as just two arguments that I want them to find the product of. So that way you can always remember. If you forgot the formula name, you just try to remember any letters, any 3 or 2 letters that will be leading to the name of the complete formula. That means if you supply those names, Excel will try to find in its database which formula is it. So if I want to multiply, if I write PR and I'll see price and PR, I repeat, and if we go down, you can always find that there is a function called the product, which will be similar to what you are trying to do. That's one way of remembering a function that you forgot. Another way, you can go to Home tab and Editing group, whereby there is this command written AutoSum. In AutoSum, there is a down one arrow, whereby if you press it, you'll see a recent function that you already used. But when I go to more function here, I can find any words that I can search for any function that is in Excel and I want to use it. But also there is select a category. There are several categories based on what you want to deal with. So if you are wanting your calculation based with finance, you just press finance and then Excel will list all the function which are based with functions with finance. So if it's statistics, it will give you all the statistical functions. If it's on lookup and reference, it will give you all the formulas that results to looking up a value or referencing a value, whereby I expect, yes, you could have a VLOOKUP, match, and all those kind of function which are reference. But for in our case now, let's say we don't even remember the name of the function. There is an option here whereby I can highlight all the words which are in here and type, let's say, product. I want to find the product of two numbers. If we say product and click go, eventually it will search in its function database and return all the formula that may result to giving a product of several numbers. So if I click product, it will give me an option where I have to enter arguments, whereby if I press this upward arrow, it will give me this option. I can go to highlight directly, and it will give me the range that I want to multiply. And when I press enter, that will be number 1, which it will be a range. Since I've entered the range, you can see here in the right, it's showing a range. So if I was supposed to enter only 2 arguments, I will just choose number 1, number 2 as 2 arguments. But since I have selected the range, when I press OK, it will give me the product in that cell D9, which I wanted my results to be appeared there. Well, that's all about introduction of the function. So you can always remember that in the function argument, we can pass argument as a range of arguments, but we can pass argument as just 2 arguments, argument 1 and argument 2, depending on how the formula or how the function requires. So that's all. The next video will cover other function. We'll cover it one by one, so we can see how we can use different functions in our Excel works.